Hello and welcome back to Downtime Activities, and welcome to a casual little video that's just kind of us discussing the channel over the last year. This is kind of our looking back, looking forward, year in review video for all of 2022.
We've been around a year and a half, which is kind of
wild.
Yeah. We've done a lot of videos. We got a lot of stuff like off the ground this year. Some stuff that's been in the works for way too long that we finally started working on, which still won't come out for who knows how long. But I mean, it's just like kind of by the numbers. It's been a cool year, and even just like, you know, some of the I feel like we've talked about this a little bit, kind of in previous weeks. Like, this has very much been the year of us of just being like, hey, what if we did this? Yeah, let's do that thing. And then like working on stuff. So I guess we can kind of just recap some of the stuff that happened this year, and kind of just start there and see where the conversation goes, I guess.
Hit some highlights maybe to start of some of the stuff we made.
Yeah, Devils of the West started this year. That has been a ton of fun.
It's our kind of gothic horror Wild West Savage Worlds game that I've been running for you lot.
And our most it's the most consistent campaign we've run for a long time. That's been the nice thing about the channel, is it's just given us an excuse to actually like try and play somewhat consistently. That's been a lot of fun, and we're like getting into the later stages of that. It's not going to be like wrapped up. I don't think next session necessarily, but like
I think this video will come out before the
it should.
Last episode of the most recent recording session, which is kind of a big reveal that's kind of upping the stakes once again.
And it's also just been a good like the last couple of recording sessions have just been like kind of a bunch of like reveals and little details and stuff kind of back to back, and it feels like stuff's kind of like
the snowball's building.
Yeah, building up towards stuff. And it's I love the Savage Worlds campaign dearly, and I'm glad that we've now been playing it for a couple years now that like one of my other favorite RPG systems is kind of in hot water as far as like, you know, some sort of like company level stuff and some usage sort of rights stuff. If you haven't, if people out there are big fans of tabletop RPGs and you're not familiar with the sort of controversy around Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, and like the Dungeons and Dragons open gaming license stuff that's coming on, I recommend looking into it a little bit, because it's kind of not cool.
Yeah.
It's like I've had problems with Wizards of the Coast in the past, the way they've chosen to handle some stuff. This is one of those things that's just kind of like, that was not a good call. Yeah. I don't know how you thought you were going to float that.
And we'll see what all comes of that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be stopping playing 5th edition or anything like that, but it is nice to have multiple systems that are regulars for us now. We used to be a like core D&D group well before this channel, and I feel like we're very much a Savage Worlds group as much as we're a 5th edition group.
And it's just opened up what we've been able to run, you know, and the type of stories that like you and I are able to like write, and the type of characters that everybody's been able to build. It's like anymore these days, it's so easy to be like, I have a really cool idea for Fantasy World, like maybe I'll run this as a D&D Epic 6, or maybe I'll run this as a D&D 1 through 20. Like, here are the ideas I have for it. Or it's like, I've got this really cool kind of diesel punk, you know, kind of 30s adventure or something. I'll do a little bit of world building on that, and I'll have it on the back burner, and I'll just run it in Savage Worlds at some point. Like, Savage Worlds is such a beautifully versatile system, and having the Star Wars system on hand, which is just gorgeous. Was all of the Savage Worlds system in... the Star Wars campaign in 2022, we at least wrapped it up.
At least the vast majority of it. Yeah, and which is also like a huge highlight on the channel to me, because it's like it was our first real full-length story recorded with multiple camera angles, with audio in a decent place. Like, production-wise, it was a step up from previous things we've done. But for me, as a DM, it was a really cool experience to have... If you haven't seen our kind of different it seems like a lot of different campaigns, but it's all one. That's because I met with individuals and individual groups and kind of had these different stories going in the galaxy simultaneously that slowly combined. So there was kind of 2 rebel stories that became 1 rebel story, and there was a kind of young Force sensitive story, and there was this like up and coming bounty hunter story, and those 2 stories kind of combined, and all the stories came together, and that was our Artifacts of the Gray kind of short series of all the groups coming together and kind of doing this big final story all together that really brought the story to a great conclusion, and that was so much fun.
And it's an idea that you and I have kind of tossed around a few times in the past about like running multiple one-on-one campaigns and then like, you know, sort of drifting all the characters together, and it just worked beautifully. It's a lot of effort, especially like, and we're kind of in a hard position of like, we want to do it again, but if I run it, how exactly is that going to work? Because like, are we still going to record at your house? Like, but you're not in most of the stuff we're recording. Like, that's kind of weird. But it worked beautifully, and like once everybody had come together, like the way everybody's sort of drawing on references and past experiences, and
everyone has real history.
Yeah, it builds all those sort of backstory elements into a character just beautifully, and that campaign was a ton of fun. We've had both people who watch the channel asking us if we're doing more Star Wars stuff, and we've had people who have been in campaigns asking if we're doing more Star Wars stuff. So
yes,
probably
eventually.
I don't know.
Almost certainly, because we love the system. We just love lots of other systems.
I don't necessarily know when we'll get around to it. But yeah, like Savage Worlds has just been wonderfully versatile, and like I just, the more we play it, the more it's just like we could just play anything we want in Savage Worlds, and we have stuff. Sort of speaking about Savage Worlds for a moment, we have stuff coming out in the future that's going to be in Savage Worlds. It's one of our favorite systems, so we're never going to step away from it for long. I think I probably talked about this last year as well. I have a like sort of 1930s Indiana Jones, The Mummy, you know, those sort of classic adventure films. I have a campaign in the works inspired by all of that. Which will be a lot of fun. That got derailed by kind of a handful of different things. It ended up getting derailed by heavy prep for a campaign, a smaller campaign that's kind of a secret project that we've been talking about for a year now as well. And we got to actually start filming that fairly recently. We're a couple sessions into that, getting ready to film the 3rd
tomorrow.
It's working as well as I hoped it would. It really doesn't have a system attached to it at all. It's totally its own thing. It requires a lot of like sort of very specific things to work right, and I am just like, I'm super pleased with the characters that you guys made, your interactions with the world, and like just the way it's all like, at least so far, it's all shaking out. So,
and the pre and post production around it is going to be a completely different level from anything we've done, and very multifaceted in just how different people are getting their hands in the pot to make things as a part of it. And I'm super excited for the final product, and super excited to be working.
That was something that we kind of we were planning for a year before we finally got around to working on it. And I'm glad we finally have. It's really cool, and once that comes out, we're absolutely going to do more of it at some point in the future. It just like, it takes so much prep to work on it, and like we've just like taken over a chunk of your house to do it, and we stole a table from Skler's house, and it's just been like, it's just disrupted so many things in order to work on. But it's been really cool. And that's like, the filming of that's hopefully not going to take all that long, but then the editing and post-production is going to take a while, which is why, like, once that has come out, then I'll jump into running this adventure campaign. And the idea that you and I've kind of discussed this year is to, like, get away from the point where you're running 2 things at the same time and I'm running 2 things at the same time, and just have you running a campaign, I'm running a campaign. Every time one of my campaigns finished, I'll start a new one. Every time your campaign finishes, you'll start a new one. They'll kind of jump around system to system, whether it's Savage Worlds, D&D, Star Wars system. We'd like to get back into Metroville.
We'd love to do a full-length something in that.
It's just like the more I think about just like the experience we had working with Tyler and like having like the Metroville rule book and everything is just like it's such a good system.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun. I just want to do more stuff in that. But that's kind of the goal going forward, is that Erickson will have a campaign and I'll have a campaign, and we'll alternate them going forward.
And we're usually kind of in the works of prepping the next one, or it's already prepped while we're running one. So it should be not necessarily seamless, but fairly seamless moving forward. The secret project that you're working on right now is kind of the wrench in that, just because of the amount of production around it and the difference there.
Which is why, and it's something we were working on heavily today before recording this, we've done at least one video on like what an Epic 6 D&D campaign is, and kind of got some interest from that, as well as like interest in like seeing something a little more in depth for that. So I'm working on a video that's much more in depth about how to actually run one, world building, and like combat prep and stuff like that, which kind of just made you go like, I just want to stand out a character and play in this world. So it kind of turned into like, and ever since you said it was kind of in the back of my head, just like, I might actually just be running this. So it looks like I'm running that. It's going to be, at least to start with, who knows how it'll end, but at least start with, it's just going to be a single player game. But it'll be an Epic 6. We're going really pretty gritty with some of the optional rules we're using out of the DMG and stuff. And that'll probably be hopefully coming out before too long, at least the first episodes of that. But it's like, it's kind of just a stopgap thing to like help fill space while we're working on Project Border Collie.
That's the nickname. Yes,
that's a nickname. If I call it that, we both know what I'm talking about, without giving it its actual name. While that's all like in the works. I mean, geez, I don't know. The subscribe. We were at less than 100 subs
at the start.
At the start of the 2022, and we're at least as of recording this 338, which is
still
crazy.
Like, in the grand scheme, we realize is a relatively small number of subscribers, right? 338. We're certainly not a
there's a channel I'm watching that's like currently dealing with the fact that he's about to hit like 4 million subs or something like that.
We're far from anything like that. But we are so appreciative and so excited to be at the numbers we're at. And like we were kind of just, as part of this kind of reviewing back through and like how many views we have total, how many videos we have total on the channel.
I don't even know what the number is for videos.
We're fast approaching 200, I think, videos total on the channel. Which
I could probably figure it out, but it would take me a while.
It still is a crazy number.
I don't know if there's just a place that will just tell me. But you know, like we got in the habit for a long time of doing at least 2 videos a week, and for a long time we were doing 3 videos a week, which wasn't all that hard to do. That doesn't tell me. You know, the way we record stuff, it wasn't all that hard to do. When we could kind of stay on top of stuff, we really fell off of that the last month, just between Christmas, New Year's, little like
downtime activities, getaway.
A little out of town trip with everybody and stuff like that. But we're hoping to kind of be back into that hopefully this week or next week. Yeah,
I think in an ideal world, we would be releasing 1 or 2 videos during the week, and then 2 like gameplay videos every weekend. That's kind of our ideal release schedule right now. Again, between holidays and some like background projects that are taking a lot of time and energy, it's fallen off a little recently, but that's the goal going forward and in the future. And a lot of cool stuff coming up, and a lot of cool stuff kind of coming to a close. I'm excited to see Devils of the West kind of come to fruition and see the end of that story and how everything shakes out with all the players. And I'm also very excited to start running something else afterwards and have a new story to tell.
Well, and we're just type of people, and I think most gaming groups are this way, and most DMs are this way, where it's just like, I have a million ideas. I have so many characters I want to play. I have so many campaigns I want to run. Like, literally just yesterday when I was like, hey, I'm thinking of running just like a single player campaign just to kind of fill this gap. Would you like, I assume you'd be interested in playing it. It was just like, it was just like, well, I'm working on a new idea that I just came up with today. Like, or I could run that Epic 6, or literally anything you want to play, and I could figure out how to run. We're just always that way.
And most of the stats for that Epic 6 character are sitting on a counter over there now, because that's how we operate with this kind of stuff typically. And I'm very excited to play in that and have that kind of be, like you said, a placeholder, something to hold the gap in production of the other project we're working on. But just having those gameplays consistently coming out is huge. And I guess this is also a good point to bring up. If you're one of the people watching this, please say what you watch, what you like. What of ours are you here because you love Savage Worlds and you've really enjoyed the Savage Worlds content, the Savage Worlds game? I know we have some people who really like the Star Wars stuff. We have some Magic the Gathering stuff on the channel. We're differing parts of our group are bigger Magic nerds. I know I'm a big Magic nerd and I love Commander, and we do a lot of Commander games.
Hopefully our like Magic the Gathering liaison, I don't know what the title to give him, will be moving back here in like 5 or 6 months.
Our lead Magic gatherer should be returning to gather more Magic.
He's great at gathering Magic.
And that might be something that he can kind of spearhead and help.
And he's expressed interest in working on more of that. But I mean, yeah, we do the gameplay videos. We do the really sort of technical rules breakdown stuff. We do writing advice, storytelling advice, just sort of general running the game stuff, as well as character builds, commander decks, like just kind of a little bit of everything. Some of the character builds in particular have really done well.
Yeah.
They're kind of easiest to do in Dungeons and Dragons. We could probably
play
around with ways
builds
to do. Yeah, we could probably play around with like Savage Worlds kind of character archetypes or builds if people would be interested in that, or Star Wars ones potentially. Star Wars is a very breakable system.
As we learned. Please watch the Artifacts of the Grey and see just how many stormtroopers can die in a single round.
Telling me to stop upgrading the heavy blaster rifle was totally fair. That was a totally...
Some advice for you DMs out there: have players who listen when you ask them that and are still excited to continue playing their game. Communicate well with each other.
It's having a play group where you can have a conversation about like, okay, look, you gotta stop doing this. This is broken.
It's getting out of hand.
You gotta stop leaning into this. And have people who are like, no, that's totally fair. I get it. I'll leave it where it is, and I'll work on upgrading other stuff. I'll become a better mechanic, and I'll leave the machine gun where it is.
But yeah, if you're a viewer and the kind of viewer who would watch a year-end review of our channel, that to me says you're probably someone who is invested enough to like to know what's going on with the channel and wanting to see stuff. So what brought you here? What video did you subscribe after watching? And what kind of stuff have you been looking out for? I feel like at least our channel tends to be a bit of a hodgepodge of lots of different things, because that's the whole point. It's not... Downtime activities is a very like D&D term in a lot of people's minds, but for us it's our hobbies, our nerdy things we like to do. Magic, all the different RPGs we play, writing, storytelling, all this stuff. And so if there's something that's like, oh yeah, this is what I brought, like maybe you're someone who came here for one specific thing and we haven't been doing as much of that or more of that recently, just let us know. I'm not saying we're going to cater to the audience and like not make what we want to make, but we can certainly put more of our processing power into the stuff that people are interested in seeing. And
and we've gotten like over the year and a half that we've done this, we've gotten really lucky as far as like being able to test out in a couple of in-progress RPGs, one of which we weren't super impressed with. A lot of what they were trying to do with it was kind of cool, and it had some cool elements all its own, and one of which was just like, really just incredible and a great experience.
It scratched an itch I didn't know was raging on.
Right,
years.
and one that was trying to be completely its own thing and run RPGs in an entirely new way. And just recently, we got invited to test out the, kind of take a look at some of the press kit stuff and some of the early release stuff for a
setting.
A like setting and kind of adventure module stuff for 5e, which was, I guess, originally. It's based off of a fantasy author's like setting, and it seems like he's working pretty heavily with everybody, as that's kind of part of this team. which was originally built for the Italian market with like the Roll20 system or something like that, and now it was getting rebuilt entirely to be like to like run within 5e. That's got some like cool statistical stuff and some kind of cool lore stuff with it. Even just like kind of glancing through the rule book and stuff that we have access to, and we're hoping to do a review of that at some point soon. It's like there's some kind of cool stuff in there. There's some they've done some cool stuff with it, and like that's like every RPG player's dream. Like we talked about this last year when Tyler reached out to us for testing out Metroville. We thought it was a scam.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, we have like 30 subscribers. Who would reach out to us to review an in-progress RPG system? And it ended up just being such an incredible experience, and we've gotten to repeat that. And that's been just like made the channel worth it. Like yeah, we don't have all that many subscribers. Most of our videos don't get all that many views. Like, who really cares? Like, we got to be a part of Metroville and, be a part of, some of these other RPG systems, and that's still coming up every once in a while, and it's really cool. I really enjoy that.
That kind of interaction is awesome. And, I mean, the interactions that, to me, have really made a lot of the channel worth it is comments that we've gotten in, like, people who have watched through certain, like, either seen a video and really enjoyed it, or, like, watched through some of our gameplay stuff and are, like, excited for the next episode.
It's been a lot of positivity across the board, and that's just been, like... And, and there have been people with totally valid complaints about, like... when we bring up a topic in like bonus action, for example, about like changing how you're running a game or like certain character archetypes and kind of how to play them and stuff, like we've had people with like very valid complaints based off of previous experiences that they've had, and like and those are like the, even if those are sort of quote unquote negative comments, or like it's like they're totally valid, and they're not just like...
They're expressing them in a very constructive, like...
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, but this has been my experience with this.
And it's like even like the most sort of like eye-rolling of those tend to just be like, this guy's point's totally valid. He just doesn't quite understand what we're trying to say, but his point and his experience are totally valid. But like across the board, it's just been like, just how often is people just being like, I like that game too. Like, this is a great idea. Like, oh, I love this. Like people just finding our weird content and vibing with it is just like, it's like, oh, there's more people like us.
Oh no,
this isn't good.
This isn't gonna go well. But yeah, I mean, just that kind of interaction is so exciting and so fun, and just people enjoying and being excited for the stuff that we're enjoying and being excited about.
I'm still pretty sure there's one guy who's just systematically going through and disliking every one of our videos. Vast majority of our videos don't have any likes or dislikes on them at all. There's like one video with 2 dislikes. I'm sure saying this out loud will get people to dislike a whole bunch of videos, which would be funny.
I mean, if you've watched to this point of this video and you're the person just going to go through and dislike stuff, who are you and why?
But like for some reason, the vast majority of our videos that have dislikes only have 1. There's like one video that has 2, and it's like, and some of them are kind of weird videos to put dislikes on, like. It's like some of them I totally get it. There was one video in particular that like a day or 2 after I put it up got a dislike, and I went, that makes sense.
That's fair,
that video was so hard to record. It was so hard to edit. I was not happy with that. But there are some videos where it's just like, ooh, somebody is going through just systematically disliking most of our videos.
If that's
and
you,
I think it's just one guy.
If that's you, go ahead and leave a dislike down below, and you do you.
You do you.
You do you.
But it's also it's nice to even get that level of response. You know what I mean? It's like it's people who care enough about anything we're saying to like or dislike the stuff that we're doing. And like, yeah, 338 subscribers is not a lot, but
feels like a lot for us. That's insane.
It's like our entire senior class subscribing to our channel, which would be weird.
Is that?
Apart from like
Andy,
our media,
are you out there?
Trinity,
go to bed.
Sat behind me, poking me with pencils. I would actually be interested in knowing if anybody who's not in our immediate friend group was in our senior class and subscribed to the channel. That. I have a hard time believing that either. Yeah. But I mean, we've gotten comments and subscriptions from Europe, from like I think South America, just from like which is always kind of the really cool thing of just like it's like but it's always that like how did you find us like how did you in particular find us, even though like we're actually starting to become one of the top viewed Savage Worlds reviews,
which is insane.
I can't. But when we set this whole thing up, I can't believe. Look at my dumb face on the thumbnail.
Yeah, 6,247 people have seen that dumb face.
And that was like this. That was like one of the first 3 videos we ever did, and it's like a lot of people are still watching it, and that's just really crazy.
Yeah, and just seeing like total numbers again. This is almost 200 videos I think worth of numbers, but like just seeing them, it's so exciting to see from. Remembering doing this exact style video a year ago when you said like we maybe had 100. I don't think we had even 100 yet. We were like, oh, maybe by this next month or so we think we're going to break 100, and then to be over 3 times that now. It's a year. It's a slow build, and that's kind of exactly what I think we wanted it to be. Like we're not looking to kind of mass produce the same style of content and try and just like chase algorithms and stuff like that. We're just making the stuff we like to make, and we love seeing people enjoy it.
And this is a bonus section, like going to be a bonus section topic at some point, which is like, don't try and be Matt Mercer or Brendan Lee Mulligan. Like yeah, I'd love to have that level of of audience involvement and like, you know, that level of views and stuff like that for like the RPG stuff that we do, but like we're never going to be that. I mean, we're talking about professional voice actors and comedians, and they're all very, very good at what they do, and their content is extremely enjoyable. But like, we're never going to be the next Critical Role, and I don't want to try to be the next Critical Role. Like, I like that our recordings tend to be a little more informal. Like it just like, and not that Critical Role is formal in any way, but like it's just like going back through our recordings feels a lot like what it was like to sit down and play. You know what I mean? Like we're working on editing, and and we want some polish, we want some stuff kind of dressed up a little bit, but like we are never going to be that, and we shouldn't necessarily try, and that's kind of freeing to like just be in that position, and like it's just an excuse to film and play the stuff we want to play.
With our gameplay stuff in particular, the whole goal is for us to just kind of have an excuse to meet and keep playing, but also just like to give that sitting with your chuckle fuck friends around a table and playing an RPG game together vibe. Like we're not looking for that next level of polish and stuff. We just want it to be like playing what RPGs are for most groups. Just playing with your friends and making memories, telling stories, having a good time.
And that's why like things don't always go off smoothly. Things don't always work out the first try. Accents don't always land immediately, or they cause the DM to just sit there and laugh for a few minutes.
Or they cause the player to copy the accent back to you because they're the person who can't not do that.
The worst, without a doubt, the worst instance of that was not recorded. That was our little, like, sort of downtime activities retreat earlier in the month, where the character Erickson made got almost everybody to just do the same bad accent for like the next 2 days.
Yeah, no, it was not a just in the game sort of situation. Like from that point on, and still randomly, if that character gets brought up and then people talk afterwards, it's like it's inside me. I can't get it.
I think that was like 2 days ago. We're like driving to dinner, and it's just like, why are we all doing this voice? How did we come to this again? But that's like to me, that's always been tabletop RPGs, right? That's always the critical failure sort of point and laugh moments, the like, oh great, what's this character about to do now kind of moments, the twists and reveals. Like there is a great little reveal in the last of the like 3 Devils of the West episodes that we recorded just a couple days ago, which will come out here in a few weeks. Like right near the end of that, there's such a great little reveal, and in such a like sort of character specific kind of niche way that's just like that's really cool, and it landed really well. And and then it prompts another great reveal about a piece of information we had previously. That's just why I fell in love with tabletop RPGs anyway, and
seeing all those pieces come together. It's just...
this has given us an excuse to just do more of that, and that's always been like just what we've wanted to, what we wanted to bring forward, and that's part of the reason that we print off all the wanted posters.
The 5 that are scattered around here.
It's just because they're like, we can, the feeling of handing one of those to your friends as the game master. Or when I ran my first campaign and actually like hand wrote a like little leather book, like the feeling of passing that across to the players for the first time and like revealing the map and stuff is like, it's just so much fun, and that's just like always what we've wanted out of the channel, as well as just like, you mean we have an excuse to just do more of this?
And if you like watching DMs hand documents across the table to players, you will love the project that's in the works right now. Project Codename, what is it? Project Codename Border Collie is going to be right up your alley when that comes out.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty much right up there, yeah.
Yep, definitely.
But it gave us an excuse to kind of do some stuff we wouldn't have necessarily had a good way to do otherwise. For example, all the like kind of Halloween stuff we got to do. We do a Dread game every year, which is always just a lot of fun. 2 years in a row have just been excellent.
The last 2 years are both recorded and on the channel that you can check.
If you watched the first one that was on the channel, the Cannibal Carnival, that's a kind of non-standard Dread game because for some reason we pull out all the stops at being good
Spoiler
at Jenga
alert.
and just like nobody dies, which fits the sort of Goonies-esque adventure that we were on anyway really well. This most recent one is not that way. It ends in an insane Jenga off between two players, and it was a ton of fun to record, and it was and it's like we're gonna do that sort of every year anyway. Like we enjoy doing those, but like having an excuse to go through the bad Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland game was a lot of fun, and like we wouldn't have had any good reason to run the sort of Scooby-Doo inspired Savage Worlds game that we did. But the idea of doing a little sort of Halloween one shot, or like just 3 episodes or 4 episodes for Halloween was kind of a fun one, and what we landed on was a Scooby-Doo inspired Savage Worlds game, which is a totally weird way to run Savage Worlds, and like we wouldn't have had a good reason to do it otherwise if we didn't have the sort of loose excuse of doing it for the channel. And it was so much fun.
It was awesome.
I highly recommend watching through that. All the characters are fantastic. There's some great just like classic Scooby-Doo moments in it.
There's some the first animation that the channel has done is on that, as well as there's some great art and stuff from our friend Jocelyn.
Yeah, Jocelyn did character art for everybody, and Squid did all the music and everything. It was...
Which is another thing that I think this is a good video to shout out, is the involvement of other people on the channel. Will and I are kind of the main 2 people of the channel. We do most of the recording. Will does most of the editing. Most of it is driven by us as far as what we're going to do next, what we're running, what kind of videos are coming out. But there's some people on the channel that are the talent, like as they like to refer to themselves, that do all sorts of other things. Yeah. And like almost all the music you'll hear, maybe literally all of the music, background music.
Not there. It depends on how far back you go.
Yeah, it's
almost all of the music that you're going to hear was done by Sklur.
Yeah, that's like background music, the Devils of the West intro music, as well as the background music and the combat music, all the Ozzy's Mysteries stuff. All of that is stuff that Sklur's put together and made. And then Jocelyn has done some art and stuff like that for the channel. And then Sklur did the animating of the art for kind of our intro with Ozzy's Mysteries. There's lots of people who are coming up with cool stuff.
And a lot of people are contributing to Project Border Collie in one way or another, which is I can almost guarantee that'll come out this year, and I'm very excited for when it does. It's like we said, it's been in the works for a long time, and the fact that we're actually now working on it is really cool.
It's made it a lot more real.
But yeah, it's and it's just been cool, like being able to go to Scler and be like, hey, we're working on this. Do you want to take a crack at writing this type of, this type of music or writing this, like, working on this thing for it? And he's just always like, oh yeah, I'll take a shot at it. I'll see what I can do.
And he always knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, he's done well every time. And Jocelyn's always excited to do. We've got little character portraits on all of our Devils of the West sheets that Jocelyn did little character sketches in. It's just been a super enjoyable experience, and like I'm just so happy that like all of my friends have skills and that they're like happy to use them for our little sort of stupid
another
side
shout
project.
out that I need to put on here. I almost forgot because he's the one who refers to himself as the talent more than anyone else. Matty G, Matthew Gottschalk on the channel. He essentially built an old computer inside of your computer to run Escape from Horrorland.
Yeah,
he had to basically make like a Windows 98 or no, Windows Vista
Windows 95
replicator software like built inside of it that could launch, and then download that to it and solve our like color spectrum and sound problems and window framing problems, and just his computer wizard background came in clutch there.
Yeah, he had to build a computer within my computer to get it to run a game.
Too old
to far too old to run any other way. Which was extremely impressive and like literal magic.
To me, it's magic.
Watch like just like watching him work at it and stuff was just insane. And I just like how willing everybody's been to just playing the game, just be on camera, just hang out and do stuff. It's really been. I am quite happy for the friend group that I have.
I feel very lucky to have the friend group.
And just, the fact that we've been able to work on all this. And we've got a couple other friends that, like, one at least who's never been on the channel that I would like to drag onto the channel at some point, if we can ever get him. And yeah, Costigan should hopefully be back in May or a little afterwards.
And she's released from the clutches of the most violent and dangerous monster in all fantasy, which is, of course, the education system. Once that has released released him from its vile clutches, he might be back around and on the channel more often.
Yeah, and that's like, and I mean we've got a lot of stuff planned for this next year. We've got a lot of stuff we want to run. We're gonna keep doing help action, bonus action stuff, probably once a month as we've kind of been doing, at least as often as possible. Every once in a while we miss a month. With one or the other. For some reason, it's usually help action that gets cut. Probably because it requires way more effort to make than bonus action. Despite being like
a fifth of the length.
Yeah,
typically.
If that. We're gonna do more character builds. I've got a couple of 5e character builds I'll probably do for the channel. Resurrect my old Ultimate Tracker build, tinker around with that. Heavy armor rogue builds, damage mitigation rogue. You've got several.
I've always got 100 million character ideas. I also am working on kind of curating and building a list of encounter ideas, and hopefully before too long here, a new series that I don't know if I'll drop a name. I think the name of it's going to be Encounter Inspiration. I'd like to start releasing those fairly regularly.
I've glanced at the list and it was a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. So it's kind of a 50-50 right now between ideas I currently have but don't intend to run in the short term for my players, and stuff I've run in the past that has gone well or has been really interesting and fun to run. And so I want to kind of build up a good list of those and then start releasing them pretty regularly too.
I wonder if Matty G would be... Because Matty G has an immense amount of interest in breaking the spellcasting of Savage Worlds. I wonder if he'd be interested in doing occasional videos on breaking the spellcasting system in Savage Worlds. We should talk to him about that. We've got... I mean, we've lots of like those kind of miscellaneous videos and stuff like that. I'll probably keep working on the writing series and character creation, or the character series. We've got Project Border Collie, which should be coming out this year. That's now that we're actually filming it. We've got the Devils of the West will be wrapping up this year, without a doubt.
Certainly.
Which means that your D&D Underdark campaign will probably start this year.
Probably what I'm going to be running next. I think that's essentially been decided.
And if Project Border Collie does come out this year, then my adventure 1930s treasure hunter campaign will be at least starting this year as well as the solo campaign that's sort of historically inspired, but with plenty of D&D flair to it. That should be starting before too long, and I don't necessarily know how long it'll run. Maybe until you die.
We'll find out
until you win. I don't know.
I will either stand underneath the foot of an empire or above its burning wreckage. One or the other. That's the only two ways that this can end.
That's probably how it's going to shake out. Any other stuff that's coming out this year that we want to?
Nothing else we really need to drop right now. I think that like I said with kind of the previous calls, like what you want to watch. If there's the systems you prefer, put that in comments below, or ideas, stuff that you've seen that you'd like to see differently or more of, any of that. Like we're happy to steal as many ideas from you as you are willing to throw at us.
We've been talking for a while about potentially getting merch going. At least Jerry really wants a Downtime Activities hat. A couple of different people want shirts that just say "This is the future" or a picture of a lightning gun.
And I think a pair of socks, one of which says
regular leg,
and the other says ass kicking leg,
yeah.
would also be in the works.
We've got lots of we've got lots of merch ideas, some of which are references to campaigns, some of which are just kind of general. Maybe we'll do that this year. We're not necessarily we're not monetized on YouTube. We have no plans to monetize through YouTube. Maybe someday we'll start a Patreon or something, just so that we can start upgrading some stuff on the channel. But we're not necessarily in all that much of a hurry to do a lot of that type of stuff. Merch is kind of in the same boat. We've got some ideas.
It's kind of just stuff we want to own, and so we're maybe we should make that. And if other people want it too, they can have some.
But I don't want to just push that type of stuff super heavily. I've never really wanted to be that kind of channel. That's part of the reason that we decided early on. It's what if we just never monetized? So we just if there are ads on these videos, complain to YouTube, because there shouldn't be.
There should not be.
They probably won't start putting videos on our ads unless we do well enough that they're just sneak these in here.
Sneak it in and make a little extra money off the top. Or it's
we have no interest in carving up our videos with ads and stuff like that, or we tend to end most videos with a subscribe, like the video, comment. But we also don't want to just do that forever. We don't the whole chasing trends and just now we're just doing YouTube Shorts because that's what the algorithm's pushing. We never had any interest in that, and that's probably part of the reason that we're at 338 subscribers a year and a half later. But at the same time, that feels like the people who are watching our content are watching because they're interested, and the growth that we've had has been earned. I guess, I don't know. I just get sick of YouTube recommending me just whitewashed YouTube videos about a quirky family of four with a cat and a dog renovating a mansion or some shit like that. I'm just I really don't care. I really, really don't care about this. So we've just never wanted to be that, and I don't know. I feel like we're doing an okay job of that.
We're certainly not the typically marketable YouTube channel. If that was our goal, I think we've done a good job. But yeah, no, our goal is to make the stuff we want to make and make the stuff that the people who enjoy us will enjoy watching. And that's always been the goal, and that's what we want to keep doing. So,
and that's part of the reason that there are certain video formats or stuff like that we've done once and we just don't do again. The joke, like, top 12 D&D classes video was just like, which thankfully
Still
most people don't know about. Does not have very many views.
And doesn't need to change. Don't go.
But the thing was, is like, we had fun laughing at each other while working on it, but I didn't have fun filming it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have fun coming up with a concept for that video. You know what I mean? Like, nothing about that was, like, all that, like, truly enjoyable. There are, like, some inside jokes and stuff from it, and, like, there's, like 45 minutes of cut content from that video. But it just, like, wasn't fun to make, and that type of just, like, jokey,
here's a tier
clickbaity video just, like, isn't really our thing. And, you know, and we've kind of gotten more comfortable with that as we've been filming. Really, this is the year that, for the most part, we stopped Shatnering it every time we try and do an intro or an
stop
outro.
Shattering it.
We
more or less.
stopped Shattering it. That used to, like, when we started recording, it just happened all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the weird halting intonation of something, and somebody would just yell "Shatnered it." It's like, okay,
all right, starting over.
There's something on the wing.
Thing. Yes. I think that we're getting comfortable on camera, and we're getting comfortable making this stuff, and getting practiced at it, and just enjoying it.
Yeah.
And just having fun. And I think that if I had one goal moving forward, it's that our like campaign gameplay stuff catches on more and more, because it's just so much fun to play the games, and I just want to see. I just want to have more of an excuse to do those.
They're the videos I want to make. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like editing. I don't mind it if it's for the channel. You know, like, I'll sit down and do it if it's something for the channel, which is why I always like you know, like this video or the bonus action videos are just like, sweet. These don't take all that much work. I can kind of just, like, you know, get everything set up, kind of glance through this whole thing and get it exporting. Whereas, like, help actions, the character builds and everything, where it's just like making you know sometimes 50 slides, or I had at least one video where it was well over 100 slides, and it's just like, it just gets so mind-numbing and tedious by the end of it. But those videos tend to do better than the gameplay ones, partially just because they're shorter, and people are, like, getting something from them. You know what I mean? There's usually sort of something to teach or something to, like, a point to bring up. But, like, the gameplay videos they're the ones I want to make. Like, it's so much fun running or playing in those campaigns, and just like handing out the wanted posters and just like everything about them is just like so enjoyable. And I would really like those videos to catch on a little bit as well. And every once in a while, one of them will just do really well. It's like, I know none of you were watching any of the other videos in this series.
Yeah,
because only 2 people watched the one before this.
There is some of that where it's like, I know there's some number of people who are consistently watching through some of the stories, and you are my hero. I love you, bless you. Mwah. But there's also some where it's like, how does this one randomly in the middle have 10 views, and the one before it has 30, and the one after it is 60, and then the next one has 14. But that's just probably algorithm stuff and people clicking on it, not knowing what it is, all that kind of stuff. And if you are one of those people who's watching through, thank you so much. And if you're enjoying it, throw a comment or whatever saying who you are, and we'll give you all of our love.
It's really wonderful. It's a really cool experience. Again, it's you know, it's like this whole, like, I am nowhere close to the point where I consider us like content creators or like YouTubers or anything like that. Which also just like both of those terms have just started to sound stranger and stranger as the years have gone by, and like the nature of internet content has changed and stuff. But it's just like, it's been fun. It's been enjoyable, and it's been, you know, it's been a chance to hone sort of certain skills and get comfortable doing certain things, and you know, like just seeing just the characters that everybody has made, like Bogus and Grimes in particular have just been like such a like actual joy to just
And that's
witness them
our
go through the
two
world.
most novice players at the table.
Absolutely.
They're two of the people that are the newest to these games, and that's oftentimes how it is, I think, because they don't have the old man D&D player in them. That like they're just like making a fun character and just
once you know a system too well, it starts to become a serious problem of like I miss the days like early doors playing D&D of just like,
what does this level up give me?
Oh yeah, like, oh man, that like first getting into a system and like hitting a level up and be like, all right, what are my options this level? And it's like all of a sudden I'm a dual wielder. I wasn't planning on that when I made my character, but I'm a dual wielder now.
Stumbled upon that feat and I'm in it.
Cool. Guess this is who I am now. You know, or like just like all of that was like just a ton of fun, and also just the like not playing optimally. It's just like I still find myself doing it all the time of just like trying to optimize certain elements of play or certain things we're working on. And like, yeah, everybody wants to succeed, right? You want the dice roll to go well. But like making the story driven decision or just making interesting decisions instead of the statistically optimal one is just like is just by far the better way to play, and it's just like it's so hard to break that habit once you're
ingrained in the system, right? But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to run. I've loved the story and the people. Like that's Devils of the West is one of the like absolute bright shining stars on the channel to me. As someone like as the Downtime Activities #1 fan of like I go through and rewatch all our stuff and just make sure everything's good and came through well and stuff, post editing and posting it. I still laugh my ass off through episodes of Devils of the West. I know what's coming and still seeing it
There are
again.
absolutely things where it's like just like clicking through edits or like watching back through edits, like finding stuff that's just like like the one recently that just had me laughing for 15 minutes was that guy asking that NPC asking Matty G's character if he had a brother, and like. Matty G, the whole point of Matty G's character is that he's kind of pretending to be somebody he's not. It's the spirit inhabiting the body of Jimmy Mohan. And he doesn't necessarily know who he is, and he doesn't know anything about Mohan, and he's like having to just like sort of smoke grenade and distract his way through life, and which is why every time those situations come up and those questions come up, he has gotten so good at being evasive. It is such a less is more character.
It's a masterclass.
It's really fun. It's really been phenomenal. He's gotten so good at saying sort of just enough to get people to draw their own conclusions or piggyback off of other people's like dialogues and stuff. But that guy asking him if he has a brother and him just going, I don't. Like, you're like, I don't know. I don't. Like, he's trying so hard he's fighting not to say I don't know. And like, but just like stumbling his way through it was just so funny. Like, and from the guy who's just been like just these perfect evades constantly was just like, hitting that moment again was just like so wonderful. And, you know, and it reminds me of, like, you know, storytelling about our old campaigns. I'm just like, do you remember when this ridiculousness happened? Do you remember when this ridiculousness happened? It's like, that's kind of watching back through some of those videos. And it's, yeah, and I just love the characters that everybody's made. And I feel like this has been kind of multiple campaigns in a row that everybody's just made really interesting, really cool characters.
And they've interacted really well in really fun ways.
I'm playing way too. I've played way too many serious characters recently, but that's also been like kind of interesting with Ed is like she ends up becoming ridiculous because of how serious her character is. There's just a phenomenal series of events with a dress in the episodes that are soon to come out. That's just like. That thinking about it's very funny, and it makes Ed look ridiculous, and like that's kind of part of the point of it. And just Grimes has just been so much fun to watch at every possible turn.
I want to share one story here because unfortunately the camera wasn't rolling during it, and it might be my favorite current moment to date of the Devils of the West story, which is at the end of a session recently when you guys had done quite a bit since your last level up, and Jocelyn, the player for Grimes, asked, do we get to level up after this? We've done an awful lot. And I gave me the like, look.
Look at all these experiences we've had.
Those got to relate to points, right? And so I deadpan looked her in the eye and I said if she could name the first name of one person Grimes had slept with throughout the story, then everyone could level up. And she was dumbfounded. Grimes being this kind of womanizing, gunslinging criminal cowboy. It was just... It was beautiful. Just couldn't think of a single first name. It was pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, tons of stuff we've made that we've enjoyed and we're so excited about, and the interaction's been great. So much coming out that we're excited for, and we hope you guys will all enjoy. I think this is a good place for us to kind of come to a close on this. Thank you. All of you who watch, especially for the kind of person who's watching this, you're probably the kind of person who's watched a lot of our stuff if you care enough to watch this. So thank you in particular. And please comment what kind of stuff you've enjoyed, what you're looking forward to, what you want to see more of. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. The channel's one of those things that just like keeps me going. You know what I mean?
It's a real motivator for sure. Yeah. I guess we'll go with a classic outro here. Go forth, slay dragons, sling spells, roll dice, and enjoy your downtime activities. Thank you, everybody.